Hi everybody, welcome back to the Herefordshire Gardener channel. My name's Aaron. I'm in the rose room today on this sunny Sunday afternoon over the bank holiday weekend, and I thought I'd just do a quick update tour of the rose room. There's a few roses that are coming out. I think I've reviewed Boscobel and I plan to upload that video to YouTube if I haven't done so already. A few other roses are out, but there's a load of other companion plants, as you can see, that are out at the moment. I just thought it's a great opportunity to share it with everybody and just show you what's in bloom. I'll try and keep this short and sweet, no more than sort of 20 minutes just walking around here. If you have any questions, any comments or tips, please leave them in the comment section below. Remember, give the video a thumbs up, a like if you're finding it interesting, you want to see more. And remember to subscribe to the channel, then you'll never miss another video update. I really hope you enjoy this one. Thanks again for watching. So I thought I would start this tour in a different spot of the garden, just down by the pond. We just bought our new teak benches, one for here, one up by the house, and two in the rose room, which you'll see in a moment. This is our garden pond. It's not got very much water in it at the minute. It's a clay bottom, so natural. Normally filled up to at least sort of this gravel layer here, and from year to year sometimes it does dry out a little bit more. There is a little bit of water in the middle. A lot of the water from the house roof just up there is actually funneled underground and comes down and fills the pond up, so it gets quite a lot of input. Just been such a dry spring this year, so it's just been one of those years, but it will recover. I'm seeing a massive grass snake here this morning, just basking in the sunshine. As you know from my previous videos, I'm not a massive fan of snakes, but they're quite harmless really. This is now a lovely spot with a bench to just sit and admire the birds and the trees, and just, oh, it's wonderful. I love it. And when the pond's got water in, the lilies will flower, and spectacular. So this is the bottom of the garden. Used to have a lot of hedges. If you've watched my previous videos, you'll know there were a lot of these beech hedges that you can see, which is the border of the rose room where we're going in a second. You can see where the dark grass is. That's where the hedges used to go all along, and there were rooms in there as well, so you couldn't see any of the garden, but now you can. I think it looks lovely. Obviously all the new trees have been planted and staked by myself. We've had paddock number 3, which is nearly finished for the alpacas. That's one of our willows, one of 2. That's paddock 3, which comes on then to paddock 2, and further up in that direction is paddock 1. We're just in the process of applying grass seed to what's left when we took all the shrubs out. I've repurposed the majority of the shrubs or given things away. Got a little bunny rabbit in there, look, just helping himself to some fresh grass or weeds. But it is coming on quite nice. There he is, look. Isn't it lovely just to see nature in your garden? And they're not that scared of us in this garden, to be honest. They're so used to us passing through. But I think once the grass grows in here, and it has been seeded just this weekend, in fact, and covered with a fine layer of compost, I reckon maybe 4 to 6 weeks it'll be fully grassed, and then we can let the alpacas in. They should be almost due their babies at that point, and so it'd be really nice to see baby alpacas running around this paddock 3, which is quite large. We've got a lovely tree skirt seat there that we installed this year. We got that from an amazing auction site locally to us. And a second one, exactly the same, for paddock number 1, which I've put around a newly planted beech tree. So we were left with a bit of a redundant corridor. I know this is slight aside to the video that I was planning on doing today, but we're here, so I might as well show you. So this used to be flanked by beech hedge on either side. As I said, the hedge run all the way down to the end. And so when we've installed paddock number 3, which you can see there, it's left a bit of a corridor of grass, which I didn't really know what to do with. So I've decided to make it a Japanese inspired corridor. So I've got some small cherry trees, which I've staggered in a ping pong or zigzag pattern. And the idea is I'm going to train these trees to grow in an arch sort of inwards mainly. So when you walk down the middle, it almost looked from this point like a complete aisle of cherries. But it'd be really nice to have the arching cherry blossom coming over. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. I'm hoping that that works out quite well. I might have to prune some of these trees and the willow just to give them a little bit more space. But so far they're looking brilliant. I've created the new tree skirts for those as well as I have for a lot of the trees in the garden. So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll do some updates next year and future years just to show you how that Japanese inspired corridor is coming on. And I'm going to bring you up now. That's Buff Beauty. We've done a rose review video of that one recently. If you haven't checked it out, please do. That is an amazing rose. You don't want to miss that one. And then I'm just going to bring you through into the rose room. There is actually an entrance down there on the cherry corridor. There's 3 entrances to the rose room. One here, one to the sort of, I would say, the left of the hedges, midway down, one to the right, and then it's open at the back to paddock number 2. And you occasionally get the alpacas popping their head over, just having a little look at what you're doing. So this is the rose room here, end of May 2025. We've come a long way since I started this in 2023. So much is out. We've got Iris siberica in flower, providing pops of purple all the way throughout. I love this plant. When it comes out at this time of the year, it's almost like somebody's struck a match, and a bit like the fire runs around the temples in the Indiana Jones movies, or National Treasure if you're a fan of that one. This purple just lights up the borders wonderfully, and it is literally a continuous thread in the entire room. Really is lovely. Got our new benches which sit in the shaded area of the room, one on this side and one on this side, a sister bench. These are slightly smaller, they're 2-seaters rather than the 3-seaters that you've seen at the pond, but they're beautiful teak benches. They'll weather really nice, and the view that you get from here in the shade as well is just incredible. And look at this, we've got gentle Hermione, who's decided to be a climber, even though she's only meant to grow to 4 foot. We've got a massive cane out on her, and when she flowers a bit more I'll do a rose review on her, because she is incredible fragrance. Wow, not something that you easily forget. We've got the white cornflowers which are out here. This one in front of us is called Cicericium, or yellow pale-eyed grass. And just give you a closer look at that, because it is really pretty. Soft yellow blooms, lots of them, tiny, but just against the purples and the whites and the pinks of the roses and the foxgloves which you can see there. I just think they wave in the wind, they give sort of spikes so you get the height, and they're not too yellow. I don't like mustard yellow blooms, it's never really been my thing. I like soft, I love country cottage sort of vibes. And of course, I think I mentioned in previous videos my Dutch iris, which I originally only started with about 30 in this room, but I loved them that much I went berserk and bought over 300 bulbs. And of course these are coming up in the room, so pretty, like jewels amongst all of this emerald foliage. And then of course you have the lamb's ear which are starting to flower. I did knock these back, and by knocking back I mean I took off the tallest stems, and so you get these laterals that break out, and these will have flowers on as well. It just stops everything getting too tall and then falling over in the rain and the wind, and you can do that with most of your flowering shrubs. The loopings are starting to go over, you can see they're forming seed pods at the bottom, so all I'll do is just cut those back and I should get some new blooms out of there. You just stop the plants going to seed. Got the rose campion right here, this is beautiful. Magenta pink flowers will come out of these, and these will be born in clusters all over this, just adding that intense pop of colour. Sorry, I've just had to plug my battery charger pack in, so might make filming a little bit more difficult, just because the pack is attached to the phone now. Where were we? So we've got the purple Atro purpurea, Cirsium atropurpurea, which is a purple thistle. Beautiful. Bought that at the local show, Malvern Autumn Show or Spring Show, one of them. I think it might have been the Spring Show. Beautiful thistle. The bees go nuts for this. Highly pollinator friendly. Thistle-like foliage. Really is quite pretty. This has already self-seeded quite a little bit throughout this room, which I'm really happy about. I love pollinator friendly plants. Anything that makes the bees happy makes me happy. Some of these Dutch iris, as you can see, are going over, as are the Aquilegias. They were amazing this year. There were so many of them in here. There's still a few out. Let's take a closer look at these blooms because they are so pretty. Look at those. Absolutely gorgeous. And of course the Alliums as well are out. A little bit lower this year in height, but I think that's because they've divided and you know, more of them, so they're a bit smaller, but they'll come better in future years. These are my chives, which again are another pollinator friendly flower. I had clusters of these in the kitchen garden just growing like weeds, so I divided them up, dug them out, and I've put them all throughout the lateral borders of this rose room. So yeah, they literally flank all the way down at intervals on the outside and the inside of the rose quarters. And I think they're really pretty, part of the onion family, just like Alliums, and they're actually quite sizable if you look at these. Look at that, gorgeous paper-like flower heads, stunning. And this is my Brunera Jack Frost, I believe, with the forget-me-not style flowers, still going strong in May, which is nuts. It's Gabrielle Oak starting to come out. It's filled out that corner quite nicely. I'll just try and keep this battery pack out of view. Emily Bronte there down on that second post on the left. Lots of gorgeous lupins she'll come on to. Look at this white Dutch iris. I'm getting lovely fragrances as I walk through here. Just so beautiful. You can imagine being a honeybee or a bumblebee. Isn't this just like a paradise? Look at that bee having a fantastic time on those lupins. And I haven't used any support on anything in this rose room apart from the roses this year. I did previously used to use netting. I didn't really like the look of it. So what I focused on more is just knocking back my lupins in spring twice, and it's worked so well. They're not overgrowing the borders too much, and the flower spikes are a bit smaller than they normally are, so they're not blowing over as much in the wind. I think that's the trick really, to you know, getting your borders full but not overcrowded. It's just thinning things out, knocking things back. That's Princess Alexandra of Kent rose. Can't wait for that to come out and do a review for you guys. These lupins will need knocking back because they're going to seed. I normally wait till they get about halfway up, cut them back, maybe down. So if that's the length of the bloom, I'll go about half of that down the stem further, make my cut there, and you'll get some mini blooms that will come up, and they'll flower reliably 2 or 3 times for me in this room. Got the geraniums there. These are hardy geraniums, beautiful. Loads of blooms ready to come off of those. And we've got this clematis here, which is about to come out into bloom. It's on the other side of James L. Austin. You can just see the buds starting to come. Got a beautiful white foxglove there. Just stunning. I'm going to take a seat on this sister bench and just have a look at this little quarter. If you're wondering what this is with the strappy leaves, that's called Pulmonium, or Jacob's Ladder. Beautiful purple variety. That's a self-seeder that. We've got a few of them scattered throughout the room, but I really do like them, and they're more than welcome to self-seed in my borders. Got the pale-eyed yellow grass Ossissorhynchium starting to come out, and this is what they tend to look like. Lovely glaucous blue strappy foliage, a bit like an iris, and then these flower stems that come up, and each one of these packs about 3 or 4 flowers in. You can see it grows a bit like wheat. really good one to have in your garden, comes back every year. Cornflowers there. I've got a Dr. Rupel clematis. That's paired with my, goodness me, my brain's gone dead for a second. That one there will come to me in a second. Septidile, which is not in bloom yet, but there are loads of buds on it, so it'll be nice when they're paired together. So there's 4 quarters to this room and a central rose cage. You'll know that if you've seen my previous videos. Again, we've got that Cirsiumata purpurea there. Look at the colour down that central aisle. Goodness me. The iris, I think, just really helped to gel things together. And as you can see, look, the bees, they adore it. Absolutely love it. See if we can get him going in, or her, because I think they're all females, aren't they? Love the chives. I just think that is beautiful. And the foliage as well of that rose campion, which is going to have the magenta pink flowers covered. They flower all the way till Christmas. We've got Diana's Delight clematis down there, which is still sort of taking off, but I think it'll get there. You can see opposite we've got Queen of Sweden. Desdemona down there, which is always one of the early ones to flower. I still need to do a review of that rose, but I was maybe waiting until the second flush. So I just want Desdemona to put on a bit more size. If you've watched my previous videos reviewing that rose in the spring tour, it's always been one that's never really taken off. It's planted in May 23. So I think this year and next year is going to be the year for Desdemona. But we've reached ring number 2 on these willow supports, which I made. And I think it's looking quite good. Just notice these lupins. Look at these bicolour. That looks delicious. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at this bee enjoying this Cirsium atropurpurea. The camera's struggling to focus because it's moving about so much in the wind. Getting a really good feed of nectar there from that flower. Gives me so much satisfaction to just see them enjoying the fruits of my labour, and I get to enjoy seeing them in here, so it's a win-win situation really. Even the equilegias, look, there's just bees everywhere. So many more than I saw last year, which is quite encouraging. I think we had a rubbish spring and not a very good summer, and I think the butterflies and the bees just were not making much of a show, which was quite worrying. A lot of people commented that they'd noticed that, but it's good to see they're back this year. That's Emily Bronte. I'll be doing a review on her soon. Just waiting for a few more blooms to open. She's probably at about 30% at the moment, so she's going to be covered. And we've got Crystal Fountain clematis there, which is working its way up through this, and hopefully I'm going to train it up this post. And we've got the mill on the floss at the end, which I had to defoliate a little bit, not because it got disease, but because I annoyingly sprayed with a new antifungal treatment that I was trying out. It's a organic one, insect friendly, and I did apply it on what was meant to be an overcast day, and it turned out to be a absolute belter in terms of sunshine, and it just scorched a few of the leaves, so I've just removed those. It'll fill back out in no time, and the rose and the blooms and everything is fine. Look at this lovely clematis I bought from the Malvern Spring Show. This is Clematis nubia. I think it's one of Raymond Everson's clematis. It's gorgeous, gorgeous deep red colour. Lovely deep red centre on it, where the stamens are. Quite big blooms as well. Quite a compact clematis. Doesn't tend to grow quite tall, but you can see it's loaded with blooms. This is just going on and on and on. That's a beautiful bumblebee. Gorgeous colour. And I quite like the way it sort of ties in with the rose behind it, which is of course Astacia Vi. That rose smells amazing. I think lemon sherbet, very, very strong. I'll be doing a review on Astacia Vi once that opens a bit more. I'll just get back up and we'll carry on through the room. Those are Christophi alliums if you're interested, quite big ones. And we've got some smaller Purple Sensation alliums which are now starting to go to seed. But I'm a sucker for my alliums. I really do like them. And my iris and the lupins. I think it all just gels together. We've got Princess Anne there, flanking the front of this quarter. Tranquility over there in the background. I'll just spin around and we'll take a look where we've just come from. And for me, this is heaven. I love coming out here on, a morning with my coffee, and I love coming out here on an evening, sometimes with a glass of wine in hand. It really does feel different at different times of the day. And I think you'll probably agree with me, the benches at the back just really add a touch of elegance to this room. You can see that one. I'll maybe take you up into the other corner and we'll show you that one. Let's go head up into this section first of all and just quickly show you. So on that post there is Charles Darwin, not quite yet out. What is out over here though is a wonderful Dutch iris called Eye of the Tiger. Look at the colour of that. It's almost a golden greeny burgundy colour. It's stunning. Flowers a little bit later than some of the other ones, and that's what I'm really finding I'm liking about these Dutch irises. The different colours come on a little bit later than others. I think Discovery Purple came out first. This is beautiful, very voluptuous. I think that's gorgeous. Bring you down this bed, and that's the unmistakable Lady of Shalott, which I'm going to be reviewing in due course. Oh, I can smell the roses already. I'll just bring you a bit closer to her. She is absolutely loaded and ready to burst into action. I'm holding off doing the review until we've got a few more blooms open because I want you to really experience her at her best. Got a gorgeous clematis there. Again, I'm sorry, I don't know the name. Some of these, majority of them were bought from the supermarket 4 or 5 years ago and grown on in pots. So they've got really mature root structure. That's what I'd recommend you're going to do if you're buying clematis from Asda, Morrison's or wherever else. Grow them on in larger pots, get the roots mature and then put them out in the landscape. They just tend to live longer, do a lot better. Look how tall that foxglove is. Goodness me, it's taller than me and I'm 6 foot. It's like a skyscraper for bumblebees. I love the markings inside here. Spotted throats of these are just beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. And then we come to Queen of Sweden, which again I'll do a rose review on. Back to Gentle Hermione. But yeah, just looking at those benches, I love the shape of them. I think they were from Mr. Teak, which is an online furniture company. Very good customer service actually. The benches came pretty quick after ordering and they had come from overseas. So pretty impressed with the service. I would recommend Mr. Teak to anybody looking for gorgeous garden furniture. That's Desdemona. Right, let's work our way through this section. We'll go to the second quarter where I've just come from. Just look, we've got Mill on the Floss there. He was absolutely loaded with buds, so tall, totally overtaken those willow rings and has grown already to about 7 foot. Will grow as a tall rose if you allow her to, so she's covered and will be out soon. I'm just going to take you down into the second quarter. We've got Princess Anne there. We've got this wonderful clematis called Gillian Blades. Really is a pretty one, lovely fresh icy tones. The bees do enjoy these clematis as well. My hope is that this clematis will eventually grow up this post. Only put in this year actually. Managed to find her in a small pot I had at the other side of the garden. and so hopefully we'll get her going up. We've got Princess Anne, alliums. Just bringing you through here. We're back to the Astacia Vi, which you can see down in there. Stay tuned for the rose review video when this rose comes out a little bit more. I think that the chives really do complement the rose blooms. That lovely soft mauve purple with the pinks. Oh God, and then the hit of the Nubia clematis in the back. The pinks of the foxglove, the whites of the cornflower, and the purples of the geraniums. Then of course we've got these, which for a lot of people grow like a weed. This is fox and cubs. I collected a load of seed and again scattered them around the front of the borders. I love this. I love the hairy leaves on it, and I love the punch of orange that you get on these flowers that open. I think against everything else, it's a little bit of heat that's needed as the summer starts to commence. It's not too in your face either. So yeah, dead excited about that. And there we've got Princess Alexandra of Kent that I mentioned earlier. James L. Austin about to go berserk with blooms. Septidile, which I can now remember. We've got Silas Marner here, who is completely covered on this stem. I really am hoping we get some more basal stems on this rose this year. First year that I planted, it seemed to go crackers and produce me loads. But I need a bit more foliage from this rose, so patiently waiting. There's a lupin about to come out of the back there as well, which is quite nice. We come down this border. The iris is still to come out in different sections of the room. These are the Siberian iris. We've got Dame Judy Dench, which is covered in quite a lot of unopened blooms. Hopefully that rose I'll be able to do a review on in due course. I love the way the Brunera stands out with those leaves and the sort of frosting that you get there that breaks them up. And as we come down, we've got Tranquility, which really is a beautiful rose from David Austin. So that's the last quarter of the rose room. We'll come on to that towards the end of the video. I'll just bring you on to the rose cage, which is well underway now. The alliums have gone over. These are the Purple Sensation alliums, but the seed heads they're so attractive on these flowers that I leave them on. Have a closer look at those. You get a lot of bang for your buck with these. That looks like a firework to me. And these lovely little seed heads eventually turn black. I just think for architectural structure in the summer borders, they're beautiful. We've got their Strawberry Hill, which is quite a lot of blooms on, and eventually that's going to be trained onto that rose cage and it's going to move up. More Dutch Iris waiting to come out there. Pale-eyed yellow grass, and then we've got my own cuttings which I put in here. That's my Heritage, which is about to bloom. Still a baby, only 2 years since I did the cutting. But I've got one there and one just here. Oh my God, we've got a bloom that's open. Didn't even notice that earlier today. This is a stunning rose when it's fully out and it smells divine. And that was the idea, to have those lovely pinks, cups, capturing the sunlight around this rose cage. I think it's going to look stunning. And then we've got Wallerton Old Hall here, which, as you know, is a climber, and is going to hopefully go up and over the cage on this side. And then we're back to another Heritage. Got a bloom that's just opening there as well. Really pretty. Can't wait to see these fully open. And I can't wait to see them in the coming years as they beef up a little bit. Another one of the Heritage is just there. We've got another Strawberry Hill here, just opposite the one that we saw at the beginning, just so there's some sort of symmetry over the cage. And then obviously opposite, we've got another Wallerton Old Hall on that side, and that's doing really well. And then finally we've got 2 more Heritage just in here, one there and one just there, and they're full of blooms, ready to open. And then just the different companion plants, as we said. Look at that, Eye of the Tiger. Let me just show you it as it starts to unfurl, because I think it looks incredible. Look at that. Let's get this to focus. Gorgeous. Very unusual coloration. Golds and yellows, just greens, it's just wonderful. Very different to the Discovery Purple and this other variety which I can't remember the name of. But then as it opens, now we're in the sunshine as well, you can really appreciate that bloom. And these Dutch iris are fab because they send up their maiden bloom, which comes up first, and then they have like a lot of irises, further blooms down the stem. You normally get 2, sometimes 3 out of them in a succession. So when the first one starts to fade, you then get more coming out. But just stepping back into this shaded spot, I'll give you a sort of view of the rose cage with the trees at the back and the blue sky. You can see paddock number 3, the gate entrance. Once the roses climb over that, I think it's going to look stunning. You've really got to be patient as a gardener, I think. If you've got vision, just give it time. Get things in the ground or in your pots, nurture them, and hopefully over the coming years you'll really reap the benefits as they start to take shape. It'd be nice to look back on this video in years to come and see it in its infancy, this central section, and just see what it's become. I think that's something I really enjoy with gardening, is that anticipation that you know, great things are going to come. That's blue tits are sort of using it just to perch on, which is cute. If we come down this border, what an absolute avalanche kaleidoscope of colour that is. This is Bring Me Sunshine, which I can't wait to review for you guys, because this year, having been in the ground for 2 years, has gone berserk. This was a bargain bucket rose that my partner's grandmother bought us from a local garden centre, I think for about £8. It was just basically one stick that looked very unhealthy, and they brought it back to life over the last 2 years, and it has gone berserk. The blooms on this are going to be insane. Look at those 3 basil canes that have come out of the ground. Each one of those, well, that one there is about 6 foot, and these 2 here are about 5 foot. It's completely leaped out of the structure that I put it in. I do need to do a bit of work tying those canes to the rings. That's the willow rings, just to stop it from snapping under the weight of the blooms as they're developing. But that's a job for another day. And we've got Wazowski Nike clematis just up there, which is nice. Just bring you down here. I've done a rose review on Boscovelle, which you can see dancing with the alliums and the yellow-eyed, pale yellow-eyed grass, and the clematis there. Again, we've got those Dutch iris just down there, and the Siberian iris just up front. Just look at that for a colour combination. I love companion planting with roses. I think it's the way to go. I know some people, or what people used to do, is just plant roses on their own. But I think, you know, you get so much more. You enhance the look of the roses when you plant them with other companion plants, and of course you attract the pollinators in as well, and it's nice to see them buzzing around the roses. We've just noticed here we've got yarrow or Achillea, and this will be a lovely pastel mix. So there'll be some lovely cauliflower style blooms, florets should I say. In due course, nice flat tops. The hoverflies go nuts for those. And interestingly, if you attract hoverflies into your garden, their larvae and the hoverflies actually themselves are natural predators of things like black fly and green fly. So it helps tip the balance in the gardener's favour. And just bringing you down, look at the size of those Christophi alliums. Sometimes you find the bees just sort of sleeping inside. I don't know if we can pick that up. They often do go to sleep in here at night, maybe because it's a bit of protection from nighttime predators. But I'll often come out with my coffee on a morning And you'll see them just sleeping in there, loads of them with a little bit of morning dew on their wings. It's so cute. This rose, again, really excited to review this year. This is Elizabeth. Although you think, where is she? She's getting smothered by Prince Charles Clematis, which I've done intentionally. He's about to start blooming, but she is loaded, and I mean loaded, with basil canes again that have gone to 6.5 foot right out the top. The Clematis is doing a lot of work of holding that rose together, but it's going to be a stunning display. I cannot wait to show you this rose in the upcoming rose review videos. An absolute belter. They look beautiful together, the pink of Elizabeth and the purple of Prince Charles Clematis. And look at him, he's gone everywhere, literally. He's working his way into the borders, he's coming down the front. Yeah, gone berserk. Look how many buds. She is completely loaded. Look at the cane on this. Look at the size of the cane. That's got to be 16 mil diameter at least, and that'll be loaded with blooms all the way up. I'll just bring you down to another rose, which is Alpaca. Gorgeous fragrance on this rose, old rose scent. Again, loaded with blooms, ready to come out. They're all literally on the tipping point of opening into full bloom. That one there is the shepherdess, planted last year, so a little bit newer. I needed to clear some of these shrubs, which I did last week, because they were all just growing into where this rose is growing and completely shrouding it, which is not what I wanted. So I've cleared a lot of the geranium away, just made way for the rose, really, keep it nice and open. That Gislaine de Filigond, which is not a David Austin rose, I think it's turbot. Old rose, beautiful apricot blooms, paling to sort of creamy apricot tones. That one is going to be, whoa, you wait until you see that one I review. I've got two of them, one on this side and one over the other side on the corresponding quarter. Incredible climbing, rambling, short rambling rose. I think that might be one of the alpacas just behind there. Shall we see if we can see them? Hello, Fernie. So that's Fern, our 1-year-old alpaca. She's a baby from last year. And I don't know where her mummy Chicory is and her auntie Daisy, but Chicory and Daisy are expecting babies. I'm just looking if that is Fern or if that's Chicory. No, that's definitely Fern. She likes the willow tree. You can see they've stripped a lot of the foliage from the bottom. It's actually really good for them. It's a bit of an anti-parasitic or dewormer. I don't know where the other two girls are. They're probably in the barn. It's that dark in there that you can't see them. But she's such a brave little girl. Hello, sweetheart. Are we doing a video to show everybody what's going on in the rose room? They're so cute. They're such a pleasure to have. So where were we? So we come back through here. We've got Port Sunlight. Lots of chives down here. Just crowding this corner out. We've got some Nepeta there as well, or Catmint. I think that's Six Hills Giant. Really nice. Claire Austin, she's going to need a bit of tying in soon, because she's starting to load up with blooms, and because she is a short climber, she will reach the top of that support structure. I think it's just too much to expect the stems to hold. So I am planning on adding another willow ring in there and just tying them in. I'll show you in a minute what I've done with one of my Bathshebas. You can do this with any of your roses, by the way. That there is Libertia grandiflora, the white one. Iris-like straps, and then these lovely long stems of pure white, porcelain white blooms. And of course we've got Bathsheba here, which is probably about 5 or 6 years old, maybe even 7, with Ville de Lion clematis. And I mean, that is loaded with buds. Is that Bathsheba? They always do really well for me in this room. Got some Astrantia down there. And then we come on to the second Claire Austin down here. Again, loaded with blooms. So many on there. Chives again down in front. A lot of the Aquilegias are going over, but their seed pods are quite attractive as well. And you know what, if I'm totally honest, I don't mind them self-seeding. And they're beautiful for me in the spring garden. So, you know, you can always pull them out and move them if they're getting too much. Same with this Ursia Matra purpurea. You know, the bees adore it. I don't mind seeing this. The foliage is not too bossy. And, you know, they're only sort of long flower spikes, so I don't mind them mingling in with other things. And they were quite expensive from memory to buy. About £6-7 for one plant. Or they might have had an offer on. And we got Bathsheba, which is here. This is the first one in this section. The clematis there has gone bonkers. I can't remember who that's paired with. I do have these written down. I'll wait until they come out and I'll be able to identify them for you when I do the review. So I'll be doing reviews of all 4 of the Bathshebas on this central aisle, on all 4 of the Claires, as well as the cuttings that I've got in the kitchen garden if you've seen my previous videos. But I just think as a quarter of a rose room, I just think it's singing so beautifully. The lawn's got emojis today, so it just sharpens everything up. Got hostas down there as well that I've just noticed. I'll bring you down to central aisle, which takes you towards the Alpaca paddock number 2, and it's basically just an aisle of, well, it's lupins at the moment. So many of them coming out. These ones again I knocked back in the spring, and as a consequence they've not been too bossy this year, and the blooms are just that little bit smaller, which means in the wind they nod rather than snap. I said that I was going to show you one of the Bathshebas, so this is the Bathsheba on this side, and as you can see it's a little bit more upright, and it's intentionally a little bit more upright. It's loaded with blooms, but as you can see, these willow rings, they're supporting any stems that have managed to grow on the inside, so if they try and flop outwards they'll meet the ring before they fall any further. And then what I can do with these willow rings, as I've said in previous videos, is any stems that are coming out through the rings or from the bottom, I just tie some string around the hoop and around the stem, and now that stem's not going anywhere. It can support those blooms on the top, and it's very easy to just do that all the way around. It's practically invisible, but it gives the overall impression that shrub rose is supporting itself. Short climber, should I say. And the clematis above. Before I came up with the idea of these willow rings, these roses in particular down this aisle, I used to come out after a heavy rainstorm or heavy wind, and they'd just be everywhere, despite my attempts with peony stakes, bamboo canes and string. It's just really disheartening to see them such a mess. You know, I could usually get them tied back up with string and bamboo canes, but it was just an effort. I used to dread the bad weather, and it often forced me to cut blooms and bring them in the house to enjoy them, which I know a lot of people do. But with these methods, with the willow rings and the strings, very easy to do. Take 10 minutes literally just to tie that rose in. All I needed was a ball of string and a pair of scissors. That's how straightforward it is once the willow rings are installed. I made those. I've got a previous video on my YouTube channel if you're interested. A very cheap alternative, natural, and I think it looks beautiful. They start to disappear a little bit inside the roses, but they work really, really well. If I bring you down here, we've got Claire Austin number 3, who's, as you can see, look, the stems are already starting to lean out. She needs tying in, and I do need to add another ring structure in there, just about a foot above, 30 centimeters or so. I'd probably get on to doing her today or tomorrow. But the clematis up there, I think, is John Paul. It's nearly gone over now, but that was completely covered all the way up to the top. There is another clematis that's mingled in there, which will come out in due course. But it was a stunning display this year. You can still see there's quite a few around this side. giant blooms, beautiful colours, and it was just plastered all the way up. I'd say we've lost at least 60%. I probably should have done an earlier video because it was stunning. But as I said, there's another clematis to come out there, so we'll see that one in due course. We've got that yarrow or Achillea coming up the front there. This is a crazy rose. So this is Bathsheba, number 4. It's going all the way to the top, and there are 2 clematis there as well. I think one of them is Hagley hybrid, and I think the other one's Polish Spirit. Doing a lot of work of holding that rose together. I've not even tied that one into the ring supports. I don't even think I'll be able to put another ring in that one this year, just because I can't physically get in there. But the clematis are doing a really good job of holding this Bathsheba together. So I'll do what I can with the string, using the willow rings and the post support at the back. Just nothing too tight. I don't want to strangle them in. I'm not wrapping a joint of beef up. I just want to give them a little bit more support, and so I'll get onto those in due course. But just absolutely stunning. I can't wait to do the Bathsheba and Claire Austin rose reviews this year. This is the best that I've seen them, and they've performed exceptionally well in previous years. But I think this year is going to blow my mind. I've got some lupins there, look, going to seed. They need deadheading. Claire Austin is tying in. This one here is Wild Eve. Again, was completely overgrown by geraniums and God knows what else was in there. So I've just opened it up in the last sort of week, just to allow that rose to breathe. Same with that rose there, which is Nye Bevan. These 4 roses on these ends of these rooms were only planted last year, so they're quite new compared to a lot of the other roses. But eventually my hope is that they'll bush right out. That's the other Ghislaine de Filigon there, with a lovely purpley pink clematis mingling in with Olivia Rose Austin there in sort of full swing. She's a very early one to come out. Again, I had to defoliate her a little bit just because I sprayed her with the same stuff, and she got a little bit of leaf burn just from the sun. Always spray your roses if you're spraying them with anything, you know, organic oils or any natural remedies for black spot fungal disease. The best tip I can give is just remove the affected leaves, just snip them off or carefully remove them from the stem, and that's the best advice, and clear up any fallen material from the floor, including petals that might attract further disease and harbour it. But if you do need to spray anything on your roses, ideally pesticide free, organic, natural, and make sure you do it sort of on an overcast day first thing in the morning before the sun is in the sort of peak of the sky. It just stops the leaves from burning. Do it on a dry day. Obviously if it rains it's just going to wash it all off, but I try where possible not to spray anything on my roses. I tried sulphur rose this year. I only did a few applications because we've literally had hardly any rain, so I've not found any need to reapply. And so we've got a little bit of white residue on some of the leaves, and that's just sulphur rose, an antifungal, natural, insect friendly powder that you mix with water. And so far seems to be doing quite a good job. We've got the Iris Siberica there. This is the Poet's Wife, which has gone bonkers. We've got some blooms coming out there. I'm going to be reviewing this one probably this week coming. But we've got some basil canes, which again have just gone up to about 6 foot. Really filling that structure out quite nicely. More of the companion plants that you've seen around the room. And then we've got the ancient Mariner, which I'm looking forward to seeing. We've filled out quite a bit this year with that rose, which is great. Completely loaded, ready to wake up soon. And then ending this rose room is Summer Song. Delightful rose, gorgeous fragrance. Got a lot of blooms on it this year, more than last year. Hopefully it continues to branch out. and just fill out a bit more for me, because that is a stunning rose. It does really well here in this garden. Lovely little clematis down at the back of it. If I just give you sort of a overview of that quarter of the room. Beautiful. Remember, give the video a like if you found it enjoyable. Probably has gone on a little bit more than 20 minutes. That's my bad. It's hard to do a decent review in such a short space of time. Subscribe to the channel and then you won't miss any of the future updates. Of course, I'll be reviewing each and every one of these roses in due course, so if you're interested in them and you think you want a bit more information beforehand, see how they've been growing for me after a couple of years, then hit the subscribe button and you'll get notified when I upload a new video. I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks again for watching. Take care. Bye bye.